Hello, everybody. Welcome to Game Time Live. It is another beautiful Monday night here today. We've got a great episode for you guys today. Kyle Neddenriep will be joining the show at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock. But it is Isaiah Hoffman along with the one and only Daryl D. Cothran. So it's great to have Daryl in the building. Ramon should be joining us in a matter of moments. It'll be awesome to have Ramon. We're going to talk about the NFL today. We'll probably hit on James Franklin once Ramon gets in here. But if we start today with the NFL, we will be covering the NFL, and then we'll get into some high school football. If you're if you live in Indiana, we're going to be talking about that a little bit here today. But Daryl, good to have you. How are you doing on this fine Monday?
Man, it's Monday. Today has been Monday for me. It's always as my man says, it's always great to be above dirt. Man, today was a challenging day, but I'm always ready to talk some sports. So we got my main man, Kyle coming on. We'll give him a little bit of heck from our conversation a couple of months ago, which would be good. But no, I'm ready, man. I'm ready to get rolling. Talk some football. I'm over my 24-hour period of Bama losing. I got 24 hours to either celebrate or mourn. Those 24 hours are up. I've got three of my beautiful princesses here with me at home. Things are pretty good right now.
There you go. There you go. We are going to get into it today. It's going to be a great show. I've got my tier list ready for the NFL this week. But the main way I titled this video, Daryl, I guess I'll start us off, which I usually don't do, but I got no problem doing it today. I want to start with the title of this video, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs, Daryl. Man, oh man. I think we all kind of called it. I said I wasn't ready to say anything yet, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Their season very well may just be over after this week. Looking at the AFC West, the Chiefs are now 5-5, 4 games. 4 wins behind the Broncos and 2 behind the Chargers. I know I'm going to get some flack about the Chargers' loss, but I've got some evidence to defend my boy Justin Herbert today. So I don't bring excuses. I haven't brought an excuse all year, but I have an excuse for him here today. So we'll see if my argument holds up in Daryl Court, or Decott Court, as I'll call it. But I want to get your thoughts on Kansas City. I don't even know. What's your overall thoughts?
I think it's caught up with them, man. Sometimes we try to create all these narratives of this and that and why this and the Swifty thing, the X, Y, or Z. I just think it's caught up with them, man. You know, you got a generational quarterback. They've had some kind of somewhat subpar drafts over the last couple of years. They haven't replenished that type of playmaking skill that the Cheetah had a few years ago. Yeah, they won a Super Bowl subsequent to that. But you see it, right? You see inconsistency in their receivers. You see inconsistency in their running backs. And also their offensive line. They've struggled mightily since the Tampa Bay Super Bowl with kind of figure out what to do with their offensive line and make it work. So I just think it's time. You know, every dog has its day. And I think in this case, unless, there's a miracle left in 15, I would say that Goose is probably cooked. And here's what, not just because of the AFC West, but here's my part. These are teams that are above them. Patriots ain't going nowhere. Bills ain't going nowhere. Steelers going to have to win the division. Ravens are a game behind them. Colts 8-2 ain't going anywhere. Jaguars showed a little bit of might yesterday. Texans are coming back. Then you got Broncos and Chargers. I don't know how many teams I just named, but I know there's a hell of a lot more that's in the playoffs in the AFC. So I just think it's just that time. They got to retool and see what happens in the offseason with regard to their offensive line. Does Kelsey retire? Like they used to do in New England. They let you go a year early than a year late. And maybe, just maybe Kansas City has held on to that tight end maybe a year or so too long.
Maybe so. I expect some offseason moves from Kansas City. I'm curious. I'm not going to look at their salary cap right now because it's not going to give you a good picture of what they could potentially do. But they're going to have hopefully, a mid first round pick. We'll see what they do though. It's going to be an interesting offseason for Kansas City and Chiefs fans as a whole. The AFC, right? I think, when we look at the standings, and I'm going to pull them up here in just a second, like when you look at the AFC playoff picture specifically, right? All these teams, other than Buffalo, you could say are pretty new to the playoff picture at this point, right?
New to the game. Yeah.
Broncos are back. Obviously they were there last year, but you get my point. Patriots, they're back. Colts, they're back. Steelers, we're gonna talk about the Steelers today. Aaron Rodgers broke his wrist, so this completely changes how the AFC North could shape out now. You've got the Bills, who, like I said, they're probably the only team that has some playoff relevancy in the last couple of years. Obviously, Jacksonville and the Chargers, they were in the playoffs about 2-3 years ago. The Chargers were just there last year, but nobody with real relevance for the playoffs in the AFC. Baltimore, not in. Houston, the last 2 years, not in. Kansas City, not in. So it's a completely different lookout in the AFC right now. The NFC is kind of the same thing. We do have a couple changes in the NFC that we're going to talk about today. But Daryl, I know you have some teams you want to talk about too, but I want to first throw the news at you about Aaron Rodgers and the broken wrist. I don't know if Brandon's watching, but I'm curious how he feels about that. This hurts this team. We're past the trade deadline. Unless you sign a quarterback from free agency, you're rocking with, I think, Mason Rudolph, correct?
Mason Rudolph, and I think they've got the kid from went from Kansas State to Ohio State. What's his name?
Yeah, we know. I know who you're talking about, but yeah, Will Howard. There we go.
But again, he listen. We can say all the wonderful things, but if Aaron Rodgers is not behind center, the Steelers are probably toast. This is game 10. This is game 10 in a 17-game season, not a 14-game season. Yeah. So with that said, I think if Rodgers is out for the rest of the season, I think they're doomed. I think they're doomed, and I think that's tough, right? Because you got a coach who's got I think a 12-year streak or something along those lines with a winning record. The Steelers currently are 6-4, which means they've got 7 games left, and I could absolutely see them being 2-5 down the stretch or 3-4 down the stretch. I could definitely see that. Now, granted, 3-4 gives them a winning record, but it's going to be tough, man. You no matter what you say, you got to have a quarterback, and if that quarterback, regardless of how we feel about him personally and how people feel about him personally, he gave them the best opportunity to win, and if he's not there, their opportunity to win diminishes greatly.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to how quick can Rodgers come back for them, which, I mean, you don't got much time at this point in the season. You're running out of time. And I think now, and they were talking about it on the Monday Night Football pregame show, just kind of now when you're Cincinnati, you're just trying to coast until Burrow gets back. But then again, it's really hard.
I don't think coast is a word for them.
Coming back.
Stinks. They stink on both sides, right? I mean, on both sides. On defense so bad, it's enough to be stinking on both sides. That's how bad they've been on defense. And we talked about it early in the season. I didn't see them being this bad with the draft capital they used in this last this April's draft. Man, it's a train wreck, and don't be surprised. I saw a few reports. Their coach may be seeing his last days. Mr. Micromanager / analytics. If they fail and they continue to fall off this season, there's talk about him being replaced.
Yeah, I could see that as well, to be honest. We'll see what happens there. But I would keep an eye on Baltimore now, right? They take the division, and it's going to be a team that, it's about, especially in this league, it's about being hot at the right time. And Baltimore may get hot at the right time here. Especially, if they get hot come playoff times, no Kansas City. I mean, if I'm Buffalo and I'm Baltimore, I'm salivating at the mouth. You can beat let's I get it. The Colts, the Patriots, and the Broncos are playing very well, but these two teams, at Buffalo and Baltimore, have the ability to beat anybody in the AFC because they've done it year over year over year.
Been there, done that. Been there, done that.
And look, we can talk about the roster construction of the Colts, and we can talk about the roster construction of the Broncos and the Patriots. But at the end of the day, what's going to get you the job done? How the elite level of your quarterback. And we know how elite both of these guys can be. But me personally, even though he has not been able to beat Mahomes in the playoffs, I know for a fact Josh Allen can get it done against anybody else. We've seen him come back. I mean, go back to week 1 where he came back against the Ravens. Josh Allen can beat anybody. He has a good record against Mahomes in the regular season, just can't get it done in the playoffs. So in my eyes, I really still like the Bills. I get it. The Patriots look really good. The Broncos look really good. And the Colts look really good. But my gut, looking at the two quarterbacks that could potentially be in the playoffs, and Allen and I was about to say Mahomes, Allen and Jackson, and the Ravens aren't even in yet, but I think they will get in now. I like their odds. I like the Bills' odds more than the Ravens' odds because I feel like Lamar has more struggles in the playoffs than Allen has ever showed. Only time Allen has struggled is, well, against Mahomes, and it's not even a struggle. They were just close games, and they fell short.
You know, it's funny you say that. We talk about, you know, what we think is going to play out to.
Good to see you, Eli.
We are 10 games in. Damn near nothing we've said has come true. So I don't see why we would think these last 7 games would be anything that we can predict. This thing is so topsy-turvy, and it's okay to say, you know, I don't know. Man, I have no freaking idea. I think Kansas City's done. I believe Baltimore has an inside track. I believe the Colts are real. I believe that the Texans are coming on. But that could it's so crazy, man. But that's the reason why I love this game so much. Because there's nothing you can say is absolute. You know, and I get it. You know, we say Danny Dimes isn't elite, but he's 8-2.
Yeah.
That's what matters. You can call him elite, polite, mesquite, whatever you want to call him, but you're gonna call him 8-2 at the break. Good, bad, or indifferent.
I just want to go over my power rankings from earlier in the year.
I want to throw this in real quick, and I'm really saddened by this. You know what I think about this guy, man. Juju Brents, Warren Central graduate, Kansas State player, hurt his foot yesterday in the game overseas against the Washington Commanders. He's out for the season. That young man's been through hell and back. He was injured while with the Colts for the first 2 years of his career, fought to get back. Man, he's been playing ball since he's been at Miami, man. They've been utilizing his size, 6'2.5" guy. And the wire just came down, man. He's out for the season. I know a lot of our listeners and watchers don't know who he is, but if you're a Dub C graduate, you know who Juju Brents is. And that's unfortunate, man, because the young man has not been able to catch a break. And I'm just, I'm hoping and we pray that he heals, gets back right, so he can have a career that he desired. So I wanted to make sure I shared that for sure.
No, I agree. I hope he makes a speedy recovery, and we will see where he ends up, because I'm pretty sure it was a 1-year deal with Miami, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, because he was coming off of injury, so he'll be a free agent, man.
I'll be interested to see where he ends up.
He's not a quitter, man. He's from the Far East Side, man. He's not a quitter. So we'll see.
I wanna go over my power rankings from the very start of the year.
You are go over your power rankings, man. You're excited about it.
No, it's not even the tier list. It's the power rankings from the start of the year where we went over our teams 32-1. So I just want to go ahead and make fun of myself here for a minute because, man, they're completely wrong. Eli, thank you for the Warren Central love. We're actually going to have Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joining us here in about 20 minutes to talk about the semi-state matchups here in the state of Indiana. So make sure to stay tuned for that. He'll be joining us here in a couple minutes, about 18 minutes or so. But I want to go over the rankings, right? So the Broncos, they're first in the AFC. I had the Broncos. Man, where in the world? I gotta find them. Where did I have the Broncos? Like, for example, right? I have the Colts at ranked 29th, and they're third in the AFC. They're 8-2, right? The Patriots, I know I put the Patriots are somewhere at the bottom. I had the Patriots at 24 and last in the division. So I mean, it just.
Hey, you sure you want to keep doing it? Because we may get some
No,
people
no, no, no,
stop
no, no,
watching.
no.
They might stop watching it out with all this futility. That's
Hey,
going to be shit. Maybe we should hold on.
I had the Ravens.
He was kidding. He was kidding.
I had the Ravens second in the power rankings. I had them second at the start of the year. Well, we know how their season ended up. I had the Chiefs in fourth. We're not going to talk about the Falcons, but I had the Falcons pretty high. Texans, I had an 11th. I know you had the Texans significantly high. So, I mean, it really just go to show, like, just where everybody's thoughts were, especially with the AFC, Daryl.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the tough thing about it is, you only can go off of your predictions off of the prior year and the draft, right? I got a comment on this. He says his uncle sacked Jeff George and knocked him out of the game in the 80s. It sure wasn't those two back-to-back state title games, I'll tell you that, in 84 and 85. It may have been at Stony Brook when we were there, but it sure heck wasn't 84 and 85. Dub C was in the house, undefeated 2 seasons. So we'll keep rolling with that. But to your point, though, Isaiah, we just don't know. We looked at last season. We saw how Baltimore finished. We saw how Kansas City finished. They retooled some things they're ready, right? We didn't see Drake May coming with his coach being the steward that he is with him. And we sure in the heck didn't see the coach. You and I both, I think when we did, our rankings, I want to say I had them higher than you did, but I said they wouldn't win any more than 8 games with Danny Dimes. I do know I said that. Now, right now is a push. If they don't win another game, is a push. But they've got 7 games left, and the Colts will probably win 5 of those games. Oh, you're on mute.
There we go. Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll pull up the standings so the viewers can see them as well. So we start at the top here with the top 2 divisions. We've got the AFC East and the AFC North. We kind of already talked about both of these divisions a little bit, but I want to get it on screen for the viewers here. Patriots in 1, Bills in 2, Dolphins 3, Jets 4. Good little separation here for the Patriots, Daryl.
Well, they played into it. They played into it. You take the Bills out of it, it's a 2-horse race. We clearly in the AFC East.
Yeah.
Dolphins have played better of late, but I think they dug too much of a hole, and I don't think they're as deep as those other 2 teams that are in front of them, which are the Patriots and the Bills.
Yeah,
so,
Jets at the bottom of that.
Mendoza. They benched my guy today for the rest of the season. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starting quarterback for the Jets the rest of the season.
There you go. And then next year it'll be Mendoza. He'll be over there in New York, and another quarterback talent will be wasted in the city of New York. So moving on, we've got the AFC North. We already talked about it a little bit, right? Steelers are first, separated by 1 game behind. The Ravens sit behind. You got the Bengals at 3-7 and the Browns at 2-8. Daryl, I called it. Shedeur Sanders got to play this season. I did say that was going to happen. Both you and Ramon did not agree with me.
Gabriel got hurt.
But he played.
I said we'll go back to the tape. I said unless he gets hurt, he's not leaving the game.
But I said he was going to play regardless. I mean, even if it was an injury.
Fine, you're right, man.
I got that one.
Tell you what, I got that one. Here's a pin for you. You're right.
Yes, sir. I got to get that one. I'll pat myself on the back for that one real quick. But we'll see what the Browns do in the draft, right? I mean, you drafted 2 quarterbacks. Let's be honest, right? Neither of them are going to be franchise guys. I know it's a rookie year, but I don't know. If you're especially being in Cleveland, you're probably.
What are you saying about Shedeur Sanders? I want to make sure the listeners and some of those fans who've told me from day one that Shedeur Sanders should be a starter.
He'll be a good quarterback. He'll be a good quarterback.
Okay, I want to make sure. Okay, all right.
He'll be a good quarterback.
I want to give you an opportunity to speak.
He's not going to go out there and save the world, but he'll go out there and ride and manage the ship if needed. Okay. AFC South, Colts 2-game lead over the Jacksonville Jaguars. You got the Texans sneaking up right behind them at 5-5, and then the Titans. I just really hope they can get some help. Just get some help for Cam Ward, and yeah, they got to get some help. I'm curious who will take the head coaching job as well over there in Tennessee. So we'll see.
You know, a lot of talk. We were on cross time yesterday. We were talking about Lane Kiffin getting the bag thrown at him to go to Nashville.
Man, Lane Kiffin's been thrown in every job.
Yeah, well, right, exactly. That's the point, right?
Lane Kiffin may come coach the Game Time podcast at this rate. Maybe we're in the running. Maybe we need a head coach.
Hey,
I don't know.
But I'm gonna tell you this: in the AFC South, you know, I understand the Titans are done. Texans have life. Jacksonville has the Colts 2 games. They haven't played them yet. That's huge because they got the Titans 2 more times as well.
Yeah, if I'm Jacksonville,
so think about this: if you're Jacksonville, and it's not out of the question.
Well, keep in mind, I mean, if I'm Jacksonville too, I'm hoping Kansas City beats the Colts.
Yeah, of course. You always want your division rivals to lose, but they've got the Titans twice, they got the Colts twice, they got the Jets, and they've got the Broncos and the Cardinals. Yep. So they've got a favorable, I mean, on paper, opportunity. Colts twice, Jets once, Titans twice, and they got the Cardinals. Man, it's gonna be a wild ride these last 7 games.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. AFC South week. I mean, yeah, because I think a lot of people expected the Texans to be better. Jacksonville is surprisingly good this year, and then I mean, we know about the Colts, right? They're there. They're playing really well. If it wasn't for the bye week, you know, they're probably tied with the Broncos and Patriots. They're essentially are tied with the Broncos and Patriots, just one less game. Going to the AFC West. Broncos are 9-2, Chargers 7-4, Chiefs 5-5, Raiders 2-7. Raiders play the Cowboys tonight on Monday Night Football. I will be watching that game tonight while we finish up the pod, so I will be watching that one.
You know, listen, I'm not a Broncos fan or a Broncos hater, but I've never seen a worse 9-2 team in my life.
Yeah, I don't buy them.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm just. It's something doesn't feel right about them. They get a lot of love from the television broadcast team. It's like everybody loves Sean Payton. Want to crown him as the coup de grace. Whatever, man. He's got a Super Bowl title. Give him that. But he's got a lot of love from the broadcast booth, and I don't really understand why. Right. Then you got your Chargers. And it's funny about the Chargers game. You and I and your stepdad had a conversation last week about bringing your starter out when they're getting their ass kicked. Jim Harbaugh made the right move. They had nothing going. You take your guy out. There was no reason to keep him in there getting banged around. And that's the polar opposite of Mr. Backwards Hat in DC. You got a fragile quarterback who's been injured multiple times in the season. And so, here's what we'll do. We'll run him on a quarterback keeper.
Yeah.
In a 30-point game. So kudos to Jim Harbaugh for taking his franchise quarterback out of the game. Listen, we all have those games. Well, they all have those games during the season. Somebody's going to get their butt whooped. Yep. They just took a butt whooping. That's all it was too.
And not to mention, I saw this stat also, the Chargers O-line, like off personal ranking, a lot of them are in the bottom, like 28th, 20, 29th, 30, 31st. And their main guys, the guys that they've drafted that are really good offensive linemen, they're out. So I think that has something to do with it. And I think that was kind of my whole excuse, if you wanted me to, if that's what I want to call it. That's what I was going to bring up, though.
They're pros, man.
That's what I was going to bring up is just, and that leads to your point of how, he was getting beat up. They had to pull
him out, man.
And it happens. Yeah.
You know what they call that, man? They call it, well, I can't say on air. They call it a bad game. Everybody has that blank game that, that they're going to have during the season, and that was their game. There's nothing they could do right. You leave your quarterback in there, somebody's going to tee off on him, man, because nowadays these teams look at it like a sign of disrespect in some ways. Oh, you're going to leave him out there? You think, okay, well, let's put something on him. So good move in getting him out, man. You lick your wounds, you come back ready to roll another day.
Yeah, I am pulling up a playoff bracket real quick because we're gonna go to that next.
And I'll hit on the Chiefs again. Like I said, Mahomes is the real deal. And I love Andy Reid, but I've said this many times. You've never seen a jockey finish a race before the horse. You gotta have the horses. Kansas City right now doesn't have the horses.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you. We're gonna move on to the NFC. Starting with the East. No need to really stay on this one quite too long.
My boys, man, the Eagles.
Eagles
all they do is win. You can say ugly. You can say that receiver from Ole Miss, who I won't say his name, is a malcontent. I hope he's gone at the end of the season. The press tried to bait Jalen Hurts into saying something negative about his comments about the way the team was constructed and the way they were playing. They wouldn't win the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts brushed that off like it was a piece of dust, man. And a lot of these players should take a look at Jalen Hurts and see how he responds to these things. He's above board on it. He doesn't throw his players under the bus, and he keeps the main thing, and that's winning. People say what they want. Oh, he's a lucky quarterback. He's this. Also, he's a Super Bowl winner. He's a Super Bowl MVP, and also he's 8-2 on the best team in the NFC right now.
There you go. Tell them, Daryl.
Those are just facts. Those are just facts. It's not feeling. It's facts.
It's facts. 3-5. You got the Cowboys at 3-5. Commanders 3-8. Giants 2-9.
Cowboys got to win tonight for them to have any chance in any way, shape, or form.
Lose.
They've got to go on a stretch. They've got to go on a stretch of about 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, man, to have
that's not happening.
A real shot at it. But unfortunately for them, to your point, it probably won't happen.
They got the Eagles, the Lions, and the Chiefs all coming up. I think they're done.
So that ain't gonna happen.
They're done. Good. Get a draft pick.
Commanders can call it a night as well too.
Yep.
Man. They lose to the Dolphins this weekend. And let me vent real quick on this overseas games. They're piping in noise. They're piping in clapping. They're piping in whistling. They got these fans and they're set up. They get them in these home team jerseys. And I promise you, I've been to Europe. They don't love NFL football like that. And it's almost disingenuous and disrespectful to the fans here in the United States and the fans of those teams who forego a home game to go overseas and play for a money grab. I just wish it won't happen, but I wish they would stop with the farce and call it what it is. It's a money grab, and it's a ploy to try to stretch out across the pond, but that's not going to happen. Their football is round and it rolls on the ground. They kick it through a net. So we can try all we want. And yes, it's my venting session, but also, we had NFL Europe. It was a monumental failure.
Yeah. Now the NBA is going to try it.
Enough of that about it. So that game was crap, man. It was just crap.
Horrible. NFC North. The Bears.
Bear down. Listen, we knocked the Bears.
No, you and Ramon knocked the Bears.
All right, fine.
I said in our first NFL preview of the year, I said the Bears had the best offseason. I'm expecting – I said they could win the division, but more than likely they finish second or third.
Third. You said second. But I think it's still going to shake out. The Lions – I don't know what Dan Campbell was doing last night. When you play poker, when you double down, eventually your plan is you're going to hit, or if you're on the roulette table, you miss, you double down again. 5 times, man, 4th down failures. It's okay to say we're on our 40-yard line. We'll kick it. It's okay. I don't know. I love Dan Campbell. You know what I've said about it. I think he's one of the most respected coaches in the league for his players. Man, you got to have somebody in your ear saying, look, coach, not this time. Yeah. And I don't think he has that. And that doomed him last night because they were physically a match with Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia's defense was superior, but they were a match. Gibbs was running across the field, running free a lot. They just got to give him a chance, man. 5 4th downs. That's not good.
No, not at all. Buccaneers lead the NFC South, but I want to go back to the NFC North real quick. Very proud of the Bears, right? It's good to see because we talked about it at the start of the season how just everybody was like, "Oh man, same old Bears." Can't they're all their first drives look great, and then after that it all went downhill.
Yeah, the script, right? The script.
They've really, yeah, for sure. But I mean, the scripts have been. I mean, the script writers are doing their thing. If you want to be honest,
What I'm saying is script wise, the Bears had like their first first series script, and it went perfect. Then they said, well, after the script, now all of a sudden they don't know what they're doing. Take it. You got to be patient, right? The quarterback has played ball. Give him credit where credit is due. I know there was talk about him being replaced. I didn't think he'd be replaced after being number one pick going into his second year because he played pretty decent last year. He played pretty decent for a rookie quarterback. And this year he's playing even better. And they put pieces around him and they've coached him up. And it looks as though his coach has confidence in him. He's giving him the confidence, say, you're our guy. And the quarterback has responded as well.
Yeah. It's good to see the Bears playing well. I've got some friends that are Bears fans, so I'm happy for them. I'd like to see the Bears succeed in the playoffs, so I'm happy to see it for them. I think Jordan Love got hurt, and that's why the Packers lost, right? I don't know how serious the injury is.
Packers won yesterday, but I thought he came back. I thought the Packers won yesterday.
I don't remember. I just remember hearing he got hurt. Because I wasn't watching that game.
Yeah, they beat the Giants. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. But I thought he came back. I'm not sure. I don't quote me, but I thought he came back.
We should have Neddenriep joining us here in a couple minutes. So we're going to finish off here with these last two divisions. And I mean, Daryl, obviously Seahawks had a pretty embarrassing loss, but I think honestly, I'm not too worried.
It was close. They lost by 2, man. That was a great game.
Well, okay, here, let me rephrase that. I'm so sorry. Darnold did not play well. If you remember when Daniel Jones had the bad game and everyone lost their minds, this was Sam Darnold's back to form game, as everyone said for Daniel Jones.
Man,
that's all it is.
They balled out. It was a good game yesterday. I saw the second half of that game. Really good competitive game. The Seahawks are for real, man. If you can get Mr. Darnold just to be what he was the first 5 games of the season, right? Yeah. Man, they've got something, that running back duel they got a stout defense, and they're coaching those guys up as well too. So they're coaching them up pretty well. So Rams won fair and square. Rams can ball, and with 7 games to go, that quarterback and the Rams, he may have 3 initials behind his name after this season, MVP, if he keeps this up.
Hey, if Matthew Stafford wins the Super Bowl, you think he hangs it up? You think he calls it a career?
Hell, I don't know. I mean, who knows, man? You like to think you haven't figured out what these guys would do and wouldn't do, but I mean, you would think he would. 2 Super Bowls, an MVP, but man, he might say, I'm feeling good. I'm gonna keep playing.
Yeah. All right. It is time to talk some Indiana high school football. It's time to talk about semi-state. So it is time to welcome Kyle Neddenriep onto the stage. Kyle, it is good to have you. I don't know if you know your camera is off, but it's all good. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good. Doing good. It's good to have you on the show.
He's at an undisclosed location.
I think I have to restart my computer for this to come back on. So I'll just go without the video, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, if you want to restart real quick, you're good to. We were finishing up NFL. If it's up to you, though.
I'm good if you guys are.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah? We're good.
All right. Well, Kyle, it's really good to have you on the show. I want to give the floor to you, right? Just kind of break down kind of the top matchups going into Friday night for semi-state. And then obviously with both of us graduating Warren, we definitely want to talk about Warren Central a little bit as well.
Yeah, I actually just finished up a kind of a look at what I thought were the best 12 matchup. There are only 12 matchups, but kind of ranking the 12 as it is. And I had that one at number 4 on the list. I think Warren and Brownsburg in 6A will be a really good game. I think Warren, the way they've been playing the last few weeks, and they had if we're being real, I mean, they had a pretty easy sectional. Their route to get there is a little more conducive to winning a sectional title than some other 6A teams are. Mm-hmm. But you also have to give them credit for going into Center Grove, which almost never loses in the regional, and knocking them off on Friday night, 24-21. And you know what? I covered the first game when these teams played each other back in week 1. Yeah. And Keon Thomas was great in that game, and he showed it again on Friday, 242 on the ground and on 25 carries. And Jeremy Finch had 12 tackles. So, you know, this team might be, you know, if they would win this game against Brownsburg, you could say they're maybe a year ahead of schedule, you know, just based on how many juniors they have this year. But also, you know, you never know when you get these opportunities. You know, Center Grove is going to be tough to beat next year. You know, that'll be tough to win that game again. So you're back in that situation next year again, trying to beat them. So you get here to this game, you kind of roll the dice. You got, you know, Brownsburg's going to be the team people expect to get there again. So you kind of go in with a little bit of an underdog chip on your shoulder. And, you know, interesting to note that Warren has won 9, now 10 regional titles. The other 9 times they won a regional, they won state. So, you know, there's some history. There's some history on Warren's side with this one, but it should be great. You know, JT Whitaker going back to play against or coach against Brownsburg team that he's coached the last 10 years. So that's another interesting, kind of side story. And of course, John Hart coached Warren. And I remember in 2009 when Warren played at Brownsburg in 2009. Shakir Bell was kind of the main guy for Warren that year. And I remember talking to John Hart after the game. It was 14-6. Warren beat Brownsburg that night, and the grass was really high. Brownsburg had a grass field. They were probably one of the last 6A teams that had a grass field. And I remember John talking about how high the grass was, and they were trying to slow down Shakir Bell. So, now we've come full circle, I guess, with John coaching at Brownsburg, and no grass field on Friday. There's no concern with that, but yeah, it's kind of funny how these teams normally don't play each other. That's the last time they played each other was 2009. So it's fun to have a new, different rivalry. But yeah, I got off on a tangent there on Brownsburg Warren, but I'm looking forward to that game.
We don't mind about the tangent, Kyle. Come on now. You remember the last conversation. We're okay with that.
I want to ask you, Kyle, you know, obviously that's one side of the 6A bracket for semi-state, but talk about the other side of the bracket for us, right? What you know, for Warren or Brownsburg, whoever gets out of that side, who do they have to look forward to in state, and how much of a challenge will they bring to those two teams?
Well, I think it's kind of similar in that, you know, people probably will expect Westfield to go up to Fort Wayne Carroll and win. I think that would be probably the way I'm going to pick this game. But if you remember 3 years ago, Fort Wayne Carroll hosted Hamilton Southeastern. HSC was ranked number 1 in the state. They were undefeated. They went up there on a cold, snowy night, and Carroll beat them. And, you know, they kind of have ramped up their schedule. They play Center Grove, you know, and they've played HSC during the season. They've tried to come down here and play some Indianapolis area 6A teams to try to ramp up their schedule and kind of be prepared for games like they'll play on Friday. So they are more of a passing team, I would say, than Westfield is. Westfield, they can throw. Cooper Melvin's a sophomore quarterback who I think is going to be really good. And he's already a talented kid. He's got over 1,000 passing yards. They have another quarterback. They've been playing 2 all year. Aiden Grabowski is a senior, and he's more of like you would think of as like a running quarterback who can throw. Melvin, I think, is the other way around. He's more of a passing quarterback who can run. And then Carroll, like I said, they want to throw it. Their quarterback, Gabe Freisinger, has over 3,000 passing yards this season and 26 touchdowns. And then Jaden Van Pelt, their top receiver, 66 catches for almost 1,400 yards. So they are a team that really wants to put the ball in the air and try to beat you that way. I will say the thing about Westfield, though, is they have one of the best pass rushers in the state, Alex Arambolas, who, he's going to Grand Valley State. He's not as I think he'd be a higher level recruit if he was a little bit bigger. He's not a super big guy. He's kind of a lean athlete type, but he's great at getting to the quarterback. So I think that kind of plays into Westfield's hands a little bit, that they're more of a passing team. And then Westfield has a great safety, Deacon King, who's going to Northern Illinois, who I think will be a tough matchup for Carroll in that secondary for Westfield. But it's a really interesting game because I think, Carroll playing at home, they have, even though those kids who are seniors now were freshmen, they at least have the experience of making it to Lucas Oil. So, there is some of that at play. But Westfield also, those guys have been there. They're kind of they've become a team on that north side of the bracket that you kind of expect to get there now. And them beating Carmel in the sectional, I think, kind of woke some people up again to how good they are. They're healthy at the right time. They have a really good offensive line. And, I think they'll go in there and take care of business. They're not a flashy team. They're not a team that's going to go score 48 points. It's probably going to be, 24-14 or something like that. But that's kind of how they do it, and really well coached. And they're just a really good program at this point.
So with that said, Kyle, we talked about these players and their talent, and they're so much more talented than before. What's been the difference with the schools like Westfield, Fort Wayne Carroll, even Brownsburg to a lesser extent, that where you've seen, a change, a shift in the talent? Is it because the transfer process is a little more loose? Is it just these programs have gotten serious about their athletics, or what type of a combination is that? Would you say?
I that's a good question. It's something I've thought about a lot. I think the facilities at the suburban schools have really kind of gone through the roof in the last, I don't know, maybe the last 5 to 10 years. And I think that's helped. I think some of the influx of, people just kind of moving there. These schools are a lot bigger than they used to be. It used to be the township schools were the biggest, and then the suburban schools were next. Now it's kind of equal, even if not bigger, in some of the cases for the suburban schools. So that's changed things a lot. Like I said, the facilities, and now you have a little bit more tradition, I would say, at the suburban schools than you used to have. The talent level, I think that's probably the biggest thing, though. I mean, I just feel like there's more when you go to a Brownsburg game now compared to 15 years ago. It's just way different as far as the talent level goes. And now I'm just using Brownsburg as an example. Westfield's the same way. Avon, we probably saw Avon probably get there quicker than other suburban schools, but when they started beating Ben Davis, probably 10 years ago, or at least competing with them and then starting to beat them, that was kind of an eye opener. So, there's been some of that. I think the schools are just more better equipped, and just literally better equipped with the facilities they have. So I think that's just that's part of it, but there's just a lot of different factors, I think. And, I don't think you'll still see Warren Central like this year. And I think next year they're going to be really good. I mean, it's not like they're going anywhere. Just, I think they don't have the, they're not going to have the ability to kind of hoard the talent maybe like they used to. And it's kind of dispersed a little bit more equally now.
And that's a good point when we talk about the talent level there. So, what your thoughts? I want to get your thoughts on the. I don't want to keep going back to the Warren Central Brownsburg game, but that's the marquee call. What's your call? Do you think that defensive line for Warren Central can stand up and put some pressure on that quarterback to make the difference, or do you think from a scheme perspective, Brownsburg may have an edge?
The biggest thing, when I watched Brownsburg this past week, against Decatur, I thought, Decatur was a little overmatched in some areas, including off the line. The line play was the biggest thing to me. So I think the biggest thing, and to me, I always think the biggest part of a team's success a lot of times is the defensive line. Like if you can control the game at the defensive line without bringing extra people and, trying to, really overload and load the box and try to, bring pressure every play, then you're really at an advantage, and that's with Brownsburg, that's kind of how you have to play them. Because if you're bringing a whole bunch of people, they're going to pick you apart with that passing game. Because they have really good two really good receivers and a couple others who are good players too. But to me, the biggest thing is can Warren stop the run and put them in. If you can put them in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8s a lot, that's at least going to give you a better fighting chance. That was what Decatur was not able to do. They when Brownsburg wanted to just line up and run it, I mean, the holes were enormous. And AJ Job, their running back, their top running back anyway, he had all kinds of room to run. And that was kind of the ball game there. So that to me is the biggest, the Warren defense against the Brownsburg offense, I think is the most interesting matchup, just to see, if they can make things difficult, if they can, get some 3 and outs, maybe even turn the ball over a couple times. That's going to flip the game, because I think Warren's going to be able to do some things on offense. If they can not turn the ball over too. That's another, when you got a sophomore quarterback, those things happen. So that's not any, I think Quillen's going to be really good. I think he is good now, but turnovers happen more when you're a younger player. And Brownsburg's quarterback, he's got a year of experience. He doesn't turn it over anymore, so that's experience. That's being in these kind of games. He knows when to get rid of it and when to, throw it out of bounds. And, and Quillen's still learning some of that stuff. So that's where, but I do think Warren, I think they're going to have some success on offense. I think they're going to score some points. My question is how that Warren defense, which is really talented, how do they stack up with Brownsburg's offense? I think that'll tell a lot of the tale of this game.
Right. My last piece on this, with Warren Central beating Center Grove last week, we know what Center Grove has done to Warren over the last few years. My concern is that Warren Central's young sophomore quarterback and that young team, was that their state championship. That's at Warren, there's a lot of talk, obviously in the township. Great job, patting on the back. The job isn't finished yet, but a lot of these kids have seen Center Grove over the last 5 years really dominate against Warren. And I'm concerned that from a coaching perspective, the coach is going to have to really get involved and really be intentional with regarding saying this wasn't our state finals game. We're not there yet.
Yeah, and you saw that celebration on Friday.
Yes. I'm in the township, man. I've seen it. I feel it.
So how much that meant to them, and I love it. I love that they celebrated that. I love that they enjoyed that moment. You should enjoy it. I mean, even Brownsburg, Coach Hart said, hey, he went right in the huddle right away and said, we've only won 2 of these in 40 years, and that's in Brownsburg. They don't win regional titles like Warren does or has in the past. So he wanted to make that clear that, hey, you need to celebrate this. Now Brownsburg got over the celebration pretty quickly, I'd say, and moved on. Yeah. I think your question's a good one. Can Warren move on now and kind of regain that fire? And by the time Friday night comes, I think they will. But I think it's going to be more about the execution and those sorts of things. I think they'll be ready. But can you go out and execute against? And it's going to be a great crowd. I mean, Brownsburg brings it with their crowd, and hopefully Warren will bring a big crowd too, and that'll be a great environment for a high school football game. But I think it's going to be a fun. There's just a lot of intriguing matchups within the matchup here. So I'm curious to see. JT Whitaker's a really smart offensive coach, so I think they're going to be ready on that side. And like I said, I think a lot of it comes down to Warren's defense and being able to slow down that really, really good Brownsburg offense. But I think, to your point, I think it's a good point because Warren hasn't beat Center Grove lately. So, that's a huge win for them, and maybe flips that rivalry back with Center Grove coming back into the mix too. So which is great. I love that Center Grove's back in Carmel. I think that'll only help that's another thing when you ask about the townships and the suburban schools. I think losing Carmel and Center Grove, I think, kind of hurt the MIC a little bit. So I think getting them back will be a good thing in the grand scheme.
Yeah, I got 2 questions for you, Kyle. One being about Omar Cooper, right? Obviously, we got to see his progression. I got to see all 4 years of his progression as a player. Now you see the stuff he's doing at IU. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, right? Because obviously you covered him and got to see him play as long as I did. So talk about Omar. Not only that, the surrounding talent around him that are now out that level, but obviously Omar doing the big things he's doing at the college level, and then in state doing it as well.
Yeah, it's really fun. I remember Omar was starting to, I think his sophomore year, he was playing both football and basketball. And I think it was during basketball season. His dad was helping coach on the basketball side, and he does with football too. But I went over and did a story and sat down with Omar and his dad and wrote a story. And I think the headline was something comparing him to David Bell, or, I compared him to David Bell, and all the Warren people were mad. they were mad. It's like, there's no way He's David Bell, and I was like, I get it. But I think guy is going to be, kind of similar where he's a football kid, really good receiver, but also a very helpful basketball player for that LN team. And, so it's been fun and to me, even at that age, they were very similar type of people and, competitors, I would say. So, but I'm glad I compared the two of them. I wasn't at the time because I got a lot of heat for it, but it was. But I do think there is a comparison there, and I think it's been awesome to see what Omar's done, and kind of going from LN where he was such a great player, but kind of somewhat he was a little bit overshadowed by Donovan McCulley a little bit on the football field.
Yeah. Yes.
Those two were kind of a combination, with McCulley being the quarterback and Omar the receiver, and they both got a lot of credit for it. But yeah, it's been fun to see what Omar's been able to do, and McCulley now going to Michigan and doing what he's doing. But yeah, it's great for the state. I mean, to have a homegrown kid like that from Indianapolis who has gone on and done great things at IU. I mean, I think other kids look at that, and there's a really good one now, Monsoon Sales, who's at LN, who and Davion Chandler too, who's waiting in the wings there as a freshman. So you're kind of creating a little bit of a pipeline at that wide receiver spot from LN, which that's great.
I want to ask real quick, just to give them some spotlight, because I didn't realize the sectional they played in, though. Decatur Central, you beat North Central, and then you beat LC. So you've got all those MIT teams that they're surrounded by in sectional 6. I think for Decatur Central, they've always been really good. I think they were the team that when we talked last time that moved up from 5A to 6A, correct?
Yeah, they are. They were a success factor situation. Yeah. So they're not even really supposed to be in 6A by enrollment, but they are. And I think next year they're not gonna be as good. They lost a really good senior class. So that was probably about as far as they can go in 6A, at least for the current time. Yeah. But they've really built I will say Decatur's done a great job building a viable football program that, they're turning out some really good players. And if they were in 5A this year, just imagine if they were playing New Pal, and with the healthy team, and they played them early in the year and lost, but they, Bo Polston was out that game. They were kind of mixing and matching, but that could be a lot of fun if New Pal's had their own, battle. They had to battle Cathedral in the sectional, and then, had to beat a really good East Central team last week. So they've had some tough games anyway, but man, how fun would that game be if Decatur played New Pal? That'd be a blast.
Yeah, no, that would be a great game. I don't want to have you for too much longer. I know we said about 15, 20 minutes, so I do want to go back to Daryl. Daryl, I know you've probably got some more stuff you want to bring up and probably ask about.
Why would you say that? Of course.
We've had some Warren Central guests on the last couple of weeks too. So
really quick, I want to go back to the LN receiver. He just got his 5th start, Kyle. What's the lean on him heading down to Bloomington next season?
Well, it'd be he's got another year of high school. So
that's right, he's a junior. That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know he's going to the Michigan game against Ohio State. So I'm sure he'll touch base with Donovan McCulley up there and hear what he's got to say about, going to Michigan. But I think it's going to be a kind of an interesting case study to see if IU can pull him in with all these other schools that are coming after him. Because normally a lot of times when we have a kid here who starts getting, I always think like once you get Ohio State offer, they're going to Ohio State. So that's always kind of the barometer for me. So maybe IU has kind of got themselves in that conversation. Manchin has said great things about IU. I mean, he's talked about homegrown kids staying home, and he talks to Davion Chandler, who was at the what game? I was covering a game, and I was walking on the sideline, and Davion was there. They had a bye week that week, so he was at the game. I know he's talking to Sales about going there, and Omar too. But it's going to come down to what he wants to do. It's not going to necessarily be what those guys tell him. It's got to be, everything's got to fit. I'm sure NIL is going to be a big part of, whatever he decides, as it should be. There's these kids only get so many opportunities to make money, and that's, should be part of the discussion as well. He's going to have great schools that he's got an opportunity to go to. it's interesting because he's going to have SEC and the top of the Big Ten, so it's going to be the cream of the crop. So from that standpoint, it's going to be hard for IU, but I do think they're in that conversation. He's visited there a couple times, so I think that's a good sign.
All you asked is to be in a conversation, right? So yeah, I would agree with that. I want to pivot back. We had a guest on this week. He says we told him you were on with us a couple of months back, and DeAndre Brock. He brought up the text message that David Bell sent to you or message regarding the underdogs down at New Albany. Man, he wanted me to ensure that I shared that with you and gave you a shout out for sure.
Yeah, David liked to go against my picks, or one of the funny things, they were playing in the regional. It was his. It was that year, I guess. It had to be that year. They were playing the regional, and they beat Ben Davis in the morning.
Yeah,
and then played Terre Haute South at night. And in between games, I tweeted something out like Terre Haute South is going to give Warren a tough game. And I hear my name towards the end of the game, and David's yelling my name. I didn't know it was him, and I look down and see it's him, and he's pointing at the scoreboard.
We had some fun with that this Sunday, just so you know. We had some fun with that.
No, it was
DeAndre's a good dude too.
Yeah, good. He spoke highly of you as well too.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to make sure I threw that in there. We gotta have our little bit of our Warren Central chatter in there for sure.
I love it.
No, it's been great having you on, Kyle. I know this is definitely one of your favorite times of the year, and I know basketball is also starting to ramp up. How would you? Last question, I guess. I'll kind of cap it off with this. Has this been one of the more unpredictable seasons when it comes to the bracket with 6A and 5A? Like, did you see Warren Central getting to this point, or did you see Carroll getting to this point? Where would you put this season among some of the seasons you've gotten to cover? Because I know it's been a multitude of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought Carmel would be here. As the season went along, I was kind of thinking that it'd be Carmel on the north side, and then either Brownsburg or Center Grove potentially. Not knowing how Warren would do against Center Grove, and then as the year went on, Center Grove didn't seem maybe quite as strong. And they were also they had some injuries too that they battled, especially at the running back spot. They just could not stay healthy at running back. So they maybe weren't quite as strong as I thought going into the year, but Carmel was, and I was really surprised that Carmel lost to Westfield. Although Westfield in the first game they played each other, they were injured on the offensive line. They had one of their best guys was out. So, but I really thought Carmel was going to win that game. So to me that was the biggest surprise, and also Crown Point I thought might be here. I thought it'd maybe be Carmel, Crown Point in the north, but Penn beat Crown Point, and then Carroll beat Penn. So. I mean, it has been a little unpredictable, but we also ended up, we have Brownsburg there, who's been number one all year. We have New Powell, who's been number one all year in 5A. And you go down, Chittard losing was a surprise. I'll definitely say that Roncalli handling them was a big surprise. And now Roncalli plays Heritage Hills, which that's going to be an awesome game at Roncalli on Friday in 4A. But yeah, there has been some, unpredictable teams and some new teams kind of getting through when you go down to the smaller classes, which I think is going to lead to some huge crowds, not only this week, but next week. So, but yeah, it's been fun. I love football season, and, especially this time when you get down to these great matchups.
No, it's awesome. Me and Daryl were thinking about going to the Warren game, but it's in Brownsburg. So man, that's a heck of a drive, but we will definitely
we got late work on Friday, so it's gonna be a challenge.
We'll definitely be watching. Folks, make sure to check out Kyle Neddenriep's work on the Indy Star. That's indystar.com. Please go give his stuff a look. Kyle's been a good friend of mine for the last couple of years. So Kyle, it was great having you on this evening. We are glad you could make the time for us.
Absolutely, guys. Anytime, Isaiah, just let me know. Glad to do it, and best of luck to both of you.
Yes, sir, Kyle. We appreciate it.
All right.
All right, Daryl. Well, that was great. Once again, big thank you to Kyle Neddenriep.
My God, man. Hey, listen. Nobody knows.
Yeah. I was just going to say a couple months ago, he gave us a full hour interview.
No one knows high school sports in central Indiana and our surrounding areas like Kyle does, man. There's no second. There's no second.
Kyle is great.
And it looks like you just started your kennel drive again.
My family's getting home from a birthday, so I'm about to go get them situated, and then I'll be back. I was going to let you talk a little bit, whether that was college football or NBA.
Well, okay, no worries.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just, we got a lot of things we've been talking about. Obviously, this past weekend was a big college football weekend. My guys took a loss in T-Town against Oklahoma. You got to give Oklahoma all the credit in the world. They turned Bama over 3 times. They played stout defense, and they went into Tuscaloosa not afraid. They played that way, they talked that way, and they backed it up. All I say is this: we've talked about this at the beginning of the season, college football season. This season has an opportunity to be one of the best in college football in a long, long time. We got a lot of very, very good teams. We've got the cream of the crop at the top, and that's Ohio State University. They're going to be tested in the Big Ten title game. Looks like right now against Indiana. I look forward to that. There's a chance, Isaiah, we may try to head down there for that game, depending on the dead president. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. But I look forward to seeing the rest of this college football season. It's not over yet. You've got 2 working weeks left, and then also you got conference title games. The ACC looks a little shaky right now. Georgia Tech must win out for a guaranteed ACC spot. There's no guarantee for ACC. They've got to have someone take the mantle, and I still believe that Georgia Tech is that team to take the mantle in the SEC. In the ACC. Then in the Big Ten, you've got the Big 2.5, Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. Then obviously in the SEC, you've got 6 teams that still have a chance to be in the playoffs. Obviously, we got Texas Tech in the Big 12 playing hellified ball, but then you got BYU. They got a big game coming this weekend. I think it's against Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So there's some opportunity there. Hang on to your hats, everybody. You may love your team, but I love this football right now that's going on in college football. It's so unpredictable. You just don't know what's going to happen. And I'll be right in front of the boob tube the next 2 weekends, and also conference title weekend as well. So that's my take while Isaiah gets back from the kennel.
It's been a great college football season. We're about to wrap up here. No tier list. We don't need the tier list this week. I don't want to make
good stuff with Kyle, man. We had good stuff with Kyle.
I don't want to make the show hour 30. So when we come back, next Monday, we'll have the tier list ready to go. So that works out. And not only that, the Colts are on a bye week this week. We had a couple teams on a bye, so it's all good. We'll update it next week. Thoughts on James Franklin, right? Heading to Virginia Tech. What's your thoughts there?
I kept saying, obviously, that opportunity, that job is going to be good for somebody, right? I really thought Beamer would take his ball and run from South Carolina and go to Virginia Tech. It looks like that's not going to happen. Unfortunately for Beamer, the way that collapse was this past weekend and the way he's kind of collapsed in big games, I don't want to see him lose his opportunity to coach kids, but I'm a little concerned with Beamer and his stability of being there at South Carolina. I shared with you prior we got on air. South Carolina is a good place to play football. It's not great. Lou Holtz went there, did not touch any of the success he had at Notre Dame. And then you've got the old ball coach that went there, same thing, right? South Carolina is not your elite SEC program, and people need to understand that. They'll get talent, they'll get talented players, but they're a second half of the conference. There's 16 teams now. They're between 8 and 16. Yeah, not 1 through 7. So, but again, hopefully, James Franklin has an opportunity to get his footing underneath him. He's recruited the East Coast anyway. I think he'll be able to recruit, and I hope that this takes a little bit of pressure off of the winning against a top 10 team every year.
Yeah,
right. I think he has an opportunity to do well there. Think about this: Beamer never won a national title there, and he's a legend at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, he's going to get him to some good records, and I think things will look good. I think he'll make some splashes in the transfer portal. I think he's going to do what he needs to do to get himself a decent team to maybe go out there and try to win the ACC next year. So I like the hire. I mean, props to Virginia Tech for nabbing the guy that they wanted, right? I think we all agree Franklin is a big name. He was going to be a big hire regardless. So props to Virginia Tech, because I don't know who else it seems like he didn't speak to anyone else. Like, it seems like Virginia Tech wasted no time in going after their guys.
You see what you want, you go get it, right? And I think that's important. And last thing I want to share is, this isn't possible without my friend Matt Gaddis, our local State Farm agent, home, auto, trailers, campers, life insurance, IRAs. Mac is your guy.
Yep.
And also he's high right now because Purdue is number 1 in the country in basketball. And I did get a message from him. I didn't talk to him on the weekend, but I got a message about the way Purdue beat Bama. So don't worry, Mac's our guy. But again, a lot of this is because of Mac. And congratulations to Purdue Boilermakers. They won last night. They looked really, really good. And they've got a local kid from Westfield by chance, and he's their lead guard, and I think he's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good. So you all know his name. I won't say his name because I don't like him that much. But kudos to that. Appreciate you, Mac, for sure. And there's a chance, I think, over the next couple of weekends, Mac's going to probably make an appearance, and I'm sure he's going to give us a breakdown on Purdue University.
Hey, man, shout out my IU East Red Wolves. They got a win over the road against Michigan Dearborn this weekend. So shout out to Coach Hester and the Red Wolves. They are 3-1 on the season.
Congrats, Coach Hester. And since we're giving props, hey, I got Joshua Jones right now. North Dakota State University is ahead of Southern Illinois 44-34. Josh Jones is coaching his butt off up there and taking care of business. So let's pull a victory for North Dakota State University against Southern Illinois right now.
Well, in that case, if we're shouting out coaches real quick, shout out to Oral Roberts. They're 1-3. They're working on some things, but I think when they get into conference play, you'll see that record maybe improve a little bit. But shout out to Oral Roberts as well. We've got Corey Alford over there for Oral Roberts. And then once again, shout out to Grace College and Scott Moore. We should be having Scott Moore on the show in a matter of weeks.
I can't wait to get Scott on the call, man. We got some catching up to do.
Yes.
So that's going to be fun. What we're trying to do, Isaiah, we talked about this. We're trying to expand our reach to touch as many people as we can for great feedback, great information, and also an unbiased, sometimes unbiased sports takes, right? If you all have thoughts, comments, commentary, please share that with us. We want to hear all of it. If there are guests that you all have that you think we'd be great on our show, we've got a couple of contacts here or there. We may be able to get some folks on. So if there's somebody you're thinking about, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to reach out and see if we can make it happen.
Yes, of course. Game Time Live. We're rocking and rolling, man. It's been a great last 2 days of shows. So, Daryl, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on and doing the show with us. Great NFL recap this week. Things are going to continue rocking and rolling. The next time you see us will probably be Friday, where
maybe we'll do a recording because Cott's Corner is coming up over the next day or so.
Well, yeah, we've got recordings coming out too. We talked about that. You'll see an after hours episode. I'll be talking some NBA, and then we've got Cott's Corner coming out, and then another episode of Following the Pat covering the IU East men's basketball team with Coach Hester. But more than likely, you'll see us live on Friday, where me and Daryl will look over the NBA. We've kind of split these shows up, right? Yeah. Cross Time covers the college slate. This episode covers the NFL slate, and then our Friday show kind of covers a week of NBA basketball. And, we may have to start adding some college basketball in there as well. So we're kind of starting to figure it out. Maybe we need to start getting the Game Time Live logo with a little more theme to what's covered on each day.
You never know. It may be something. And speaking of that, I got a feeling, I think there's going to be an announcement this Sunday.
We may have an announcement coming this week.
Yeah, we may have an announcement this Sunday. It's going to change things a little bit.
If you don't know all the shows, you'll know all the shows here in a matter of a couple of days. But expect the Cott's Corner this week, and expect Game Time After Hours this week, where I'll be talking the NBA and updating the tier list, and Daryl will be doing. He'll be talking about. You never know what Daryl may bring up. You know,
I'm going to be all over the board. Listen, I'm going to be like a
you may
brain.
need to do You may need to do an episode on the NFL overseas games. Give yourself 15 minutes to talk about that.
You know what? Well, first of all, I'll have to take some calming medicine first, right? Because these overseas games, for me and me only, I can't stand them. I just really can't. I think many have heard me talk about it.
Yes.
Maybe I give it about 3 or 4 minutes. I want to go crazy and lose it, right? I'll be live on camera and you won't see me. I didn't fell out of my chair going crazy, having an aneurysm or something, right?
Yeah.
But no, it'll be some good stuff. It'll be some NBA rant. It'll be some college football rant. It'll be some NIL rant. So I'm gonna try to mix it up a little bit in the same show, not just 20 minutes talking NBA. I don't think I can do that anyway. But it'll be a little bit. It'll be a little bit of everything. It'll be a little bit of everything. But we definitely appreciate it. And hey, if you're a prayerful person, pray for my Pacers. I'm hoping we can get a win here in the next month or so, but it's not looking good, but they're going to continue to fight. They're going to play hard, and that's all you want. So
they are.
Pray for my Pacers.
Just know they're losing to Detroit right now. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it, folks. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Game Time Live. Once again, big thank you to Kyle Neddenriep of the Indy Star for giving us 20 minutes of his evening. But that's going to do it for us, folks. We'll see you for more right here on the Game Time Podcast.